The line, that's the ActionSA Parliamentary Leader. You know, it's interesting, Athol, how this has unfolded, because initially when it came out, the news broke, everyone thought it was a joke. Now clearly this is happening and it is unfolding. What is your take on? You've already touched on how the Nigerian embassy or High Commissioner responded, and should we take this lightly?
Absolutely not to be taken lightly, and if I can judge by the sentiments and the passion that was on display today during the march, that the people of the Eastern Cape have taken this announcement of the coronation of an Igbo king from Nigeria in KuGompo, East London, have taken that as very serious provocation. You know, we have 5 kings in this province that are recognized constitutionally and by the president. They also are people that have become kings and chiefs through bloodlines, and they are deeply respected in the Eastern Cape. Now, this supposed Igbo king and his spokesperson said that they're going to establish a homeland in South Africa for Nigerians. Now, the word homeland has got a very painful connotation and a painful past. We have 2 former homelands in this province, and we are not going to allow the establishment of another homeland, certainly not under the leadership of a foreigner who has no right to establish a kingdom in the Eastern Cape. So this should really not be taken lightly, and for the Nigerian embassy to say that this was just a ceremonial gesture, well, it's caused a lot more anger and outrage than just a ceremonial gesture. There really is deep outrage, and I'm very sorry that at the march today there was an incident where one of the marchers was stabbed. We don't know by who yet, but the allegations are that there was a scuffle with a foreigner. And then the march just degenerated into anger, overflowing of anger by the people in the march, which is very, very unfortunate. But this is what happens. The passion's running high and the sentiments are very, very loud and clear in the Eastern Cape that there is deep anger at this proclamation.
Now, can you clarify whether ActionSA has engaged with the South African government or the AmaRharhabe Kingdom to address their concerns about the coronation? And if so, what response have you received?
Well, we were here to engage with the AmaRharhabe and all the other kings of the Eastern Cape, and even people from KwaZulu-Natal were represented in the march. We were here in solidarity with their outrage. They themselves in Contra Lesa have communicated with the president and the government to say that they have their own demands about having the government making an unambiguous statement about this. We were here in solidarity. We have no right to engage the president or the government on behalf of our traditional leaders. They have constitutional recognition and they will speak on their own behalf. But we were here in solidarity, and I'm very pleased we were here in solidarity because the people of the Eastern Cape live in an impoverished province and they've had enough of being overrun by illegal immigrants. And I want to make it quite clear that ActionSA has no opposition to legal immigration. We know that we live in a global village and skills go where skills are required and where there's a vacuum, so we appreciate and respect that. But we will not allow our country to be overrun by foreign nationals that are here illegally.
Now, what message do you have for the Igbo community and other foreign nationals living in South Africa who may feel that your party's protest is targeting their cultural practices?
Well, I want to say to that community that are here legally that we respect their right to be here legally, and we welcome them. We're a very welcoming province and country. People talk about South Africa as being really a welcoming and warm country. But there is never any way that we are going to simply turn a blind eye and turn away from the fact that we are overrun in this country by illegal immigrants that drive illicit trade, that are involved in all sorts of criminality. These are issues that are very important to us as South Africans, and ActionSA is a South African political party, and we are going to represent South Africans that are affected by these things that I've just mentioned. The fact that illicit trade is completely out of control. It drives jobs It drives away jobs for local South Africans. It's illicit. They don't pay taxes. We don't benefit from the revenue of illicit trade. And we've had enough of it, quite frankly.
I wish we had more time, but we are going to have to leave it there for today. And just for interest's sake, the individual that got stabbed, are they in hospital? Were they rushed to hospital? What is the situation there?
Well, they had called an ambulance, and he got onto the vehicle where some of the chiefs and myself were standing to make representations. And he pulled up his shirt, and there was an enormous gash in his back. And there was just blood everywhere. And they said that they had called an ambulance. So I assume that he's been picked up by an ambulance and taken to a hospital, because he very definitely needs hospital attention.
And your message to South Africans who may be thinking that this is not much of an issue, but could turn into an issue, what is your message to South Africans?
My message is mainly to foreigners that are in this country illegally to be very careful how they conduct themselves, because South Africans have had enough of illegal immigrants in this country taking the law into their own hands. And what I saw today was terribly unfortunate, but there is an upswelling of anger towards illegal immigrants in this country. And this kind of provocation of establishing a kingship right in the middle of the Eastern Cape, it was always going to be disastrous.
Well, Athol, thank you so much for joining us on Africa Update. We'll leave it there for today. That's ActionSA Parliamentary Leader Athol Trollip joining us on the line.
Mornings